What's up, y'all? Today we're talking about Snoop Dogg, D-O-double-G, you see? Specifically, Snoop's comments about social media censorship and Facebook and Instagram banning Louis Farrakhan. And I'm going to start off by specifically addressing what Snoop says, and then I'm going to sort of transition into a sprawling rant about Facebook in general. So basically, Snoop Dogg's point is that how dare Facebook and Instagram censor Louis Farrakhan? They banned him outright, no warning, no strikes, nothing. Just hit a button, boop, delete. So Snoop, who I'm assuming is kind of a Farrakhan fan, and he says he makes a lot of good points about censorship and about deplatforming. And the first thing he says is, you know, why don't you ban me? Like, you can't ban all of us. So, like, everybody that agrees with Farrakhan is still on the platform. Everybody that supports his views and wants to see his visions and reality realized, they're all still there. So, by banning the one guy, what are you really doing? And, you know, I'm probably going to get a lot of hate. I'm probably going to get doxxed and death threats for even making a video like this, because essentially I'm sort of being forced to defend Louis Farrakhan here. And I don't even really know what his political or cultural beliefs are. In my opinion, it's wrong to ban people regardless of how bad their ideas are. So we're talking about free speech here. It's not just some abstract constitutional principle. Free speech is supposed to be something that's endowed to all of us by God. It's an unalienable right to speak freely and associate with whoever we want and engage in commerce with whoever we want. This idea that free speech is like up for debate and like you can change it and like remove it and amend it, it's not a thing. It's something we have, not because we're Americans. It's something we have because we're God-fearing people and we're citizens of the world. So I think Snoop Dogg is starting to realize this, because he doesn't know exactly why it's wrong to deplatform Louis Farrakhan, but he knows it's wrong. Honestly, we should all have a bad feeling about people's views being censored and removed, regardless of what those views are. So, of course, I don't personally support Farrakhan's views, or even Snoop Dogg's views for that matter. But as a fairly lefty, liberal kind of guy, you know, I implore everybody out there to unite on principle. We should have a right to hear what these guys have to say. Even if it's a bad idea, we should be able to hear that so that we know it's a bad idea. We can deal with that. We can criticize it. We can discuss it, right? If you take everybody that has a bad idea and just remove them, how do you know what the bad ideas are? And all you're doing is insulating them from the rest of culture. These ideas are going to grow and grow and grow and grow, sort of in the dark, just sort of in the corner over there. We want these things to be out in the open. So does that mean that Snoop Dogg is all of a sudden some free speech crusader, and he can do no wrong, and we should all look up to him and aspire to be like him? Well, not necessarily. These bannings and deplatformings have been going on for years and years and years now. Snoop Dogg's only interested in this topic when somebody that he likes has been banned. But Snoop even said in his own video that, you know, go ban other people, but don't ban Farrakhan, basically. So he's okay with banning if it's somebody that he doesn't like, but he's not okay with it if it's Minister Louis Farrakhan. So take it with a grain of salt here, guys. You know, I support Snoop, and I definitely applaud him for going against the grain and actually talking directly to these platforms and making his point, because he's absolutely correct in a lot of what he says. You know, like, how crazy would it be, all right, if they ban Farrakhan, right? He's gone. And then Snoop Dogg comes out and says, you know, it's terrible to ban Farrakhan. How dare you? I'm going to keep posting Farrakhan stuff. And then they go and ban Snoop for reposting a Farrakhan video. Like, you got to admit that would be crazy, right? Like, honestly, it's not too far from the truth, guys. I personally feel that banning people for saying words is wrong. And a guy by the name of Frank Zappa would agree with me on that. You can't just accuse somebody of inspiring violence unless they actually call for some kind of violent act. Unless they actually commit a crime. That's obvious. It's common sense, guys. Anything short of a literal call to violent action, criminal action, should be allowed, in my opinion. I think we should be free to say what we want, no questions asked. It should be allowed, straight up. Even the really, really bad stuff. Even the most offensive, egregious, terrible, like old-fashioned, idiotic stuff that you can imagine. It should be allowed to be talked about, because we're getting to a point with this tech censorship now where you can't even talk about certain topics in any context. So, I mean, you would agree that in certain contexts, it's okay to bring up maybe some sort of violence, right? So if I say, like, I'm against violence, I'm against domestic violence, or I'm against child abuse, right? Well, if it's offensive to talk about child abuse, should I get banned for being against child abuse? We're not banning people for their actions. We're just banning them for their ideas. That's called the thought police. Moreover, how in the world are we supposed to gauge our progress as a society if we can't even look back into history and be able to talk about things that were mistakes? If we just keep erasing all of the inconvenient truths and all of the facts that we just don't like, just go ahead and sweep all those guys under the rug, and nobody will notice. Just put them under there. We'll deal with it later, maybe. Before you know it, you have this huge undulating mass of comedians, journalists, political pundits, entertainers, actors, musicians. They're all just sort of writhing on the floor with this little puny rug on top, and you're like, yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, we support free speech, absolutely. As if, wow, like Facebook, this multi-billion-dollar corporation with bailout money from taxpayers, they're just so super virtuous. They stood up, they just took a stand against this guy that said something that was mildly disagreeable. Wow, Facebook, you're just like this angel, this just like beacon of hope in our culture, of our society. And meanwhile, you really didn't do anything. You changed a little bit of code on your website. You took away one person's free speech rights for that specific platform, opening them up to go to a multitude of other platforms, by the way, generating tons of negative press for that person, making them into a victim, making them into a martyr, and all so that you can stand up and be like, oh, I'm just signaling how virtuous I am because I'm Mark Zuckerberg and I'm against violence, or I'm against anti-Semitism, or, I'm against conservatism, I'm against Republicans, and I just want to let the whole world know it. You don't have to ban people to let people know that you're a virtuous company. Just be a virtuous company. Be a platform and let people battle it out in the marketplace of ideas, like we used to do for the last 500,000 years, or however long humans have been on the planet, right? We got along that far without banning. Well, I guess we did have a lot of executions and stuff like that, but it's the same thing, by executing someone mentally or executing them physically. It's the same kind of thing. It does nothing for the actual people of this country, and it does nothing to actually combat the badness or the incorrectness of some of these ideas. So I ask, what even is the point? Like, you're not going to be able to convince R. Kelly fans to stop listening to the guy's music. And you're not going to be able to convince Alex Jones fans that the frogs aren't turning gay. So the last little component to this video I'm going to put in here is the question of, is Facebook really a private company? Because everybody wants to make this argument, oh, they're a private company, they can do whatever they want, as if it's some little like mom and pop shop on the corner, right? No, Facebook is literally a monopoly over the social media marketplace. Facebook, Instagram, both owned by Mark Zuckerberg. So you think they're two different things? They're just two pieces of the same pie. They are not, by any means, in any definition, in any universe, a private company. They're just not. But they get away with claiming that they are, because guess who loves Facebook more than anybody on the planet? The federal government. And so let's go over to the screen capture here, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. All right, here's the first article I want to talk about. So I'm sure you all are aware there was this huge bank bailout that happened. One of these companies that got bailed out was called Goldman Sachs. So they took $10 billion, all right? They took bailout money from American taxpayers, all right? They've also outsourced jobs as a means to, I would assume, graciously thank the taxpayers for all of their hard-earned money. Guess who is one of the main contributors and one of the main investors for Facebook? Well, it's Goldman Sachs. And back when Facebook was still competing with MySpace, Goldman Sachs decided to invest about $500 million into Facebook. Just stroked a nice little check to old Zuckerberg. We have this company that wouldn't even exist if they hadn't been subsidized by the federal government. Then they take that subsidized money and they send it directly to Mark Zuckerberg, directly to Facebook. When you got $500 million coming from Goldman Sachs, I would say Goldman Sachs probably has a little bit of sway over the policies of Facebook. My second point on how Facebook is not a private company, because by definition, a private company is not a government-run company, right? You with me? Free speech is supposed to be protected from being infringed by the government. Apparently, Facebook is totally separate from the government. Nothing to do with the federal government. Even though they're being subsidized with $500 million from the taxpayers, they have nothing to do with the government. Well, if that didn't convince you, here's part two. Facebook reveals the government's asked for data on 38,000 users in 2013, and they admitted this. I don't know why they would admit this, but they admitted it. So the social network giant and its peers are coming under intense scrutiny following revelations about their cooperation with the National Security Agency mass surveillance of U.S. and foreign citizens. Okay, so that's a little creepy, right? All right, so transparency and trust are core values at Facebook. Oh, I'm sure. We strive to embody them in all aspects of our services. Guess what? The figures released by Facebook give no detail because Facebook is just so transparent. No detail on the types of requests received or what type of information the company handed over. Hey guys, we're so transparent. We're so honest. You know, we definitely did give a bunch of your data to the NSA. Absolutely. You know, we're transparent. We'll be honest about that. Well, what kind of data did you give them exactly? Oh, well, you don't need to know that. We don't need to get lost in the weeds here, guys. I mean, come on. Like, could that be your GPS location? Could that be your address? Could that be the names of all your friends and your family? Could that be your website browsing history? Could that be your credit card numbers? Could that be your bank account information? We don't know because Facebook is so transparent. So, of course, we believe this process protects the data of the people who use our service. They believe. So in June, The Guardian revealed this was done via the agency's PRISM collection program. NSA PRISM program taps into user data of Apple, Google, and Facebook. Oh, according to a top secret document. Oh, so this one was not so transparent. This one was top secret. Okay, so previously undisclosed program called PRISM, which allows officials to collect material including search history, the content of emails, file transfers, live chats, okay? And I'm sure that's a totally exhaustive list. I'm sure it's nothing else. Google cares so deeply about the security of our users' data. Oh, that's why they sell it to the NSA. Okay, cool. Here's a fun little graph here. And, oh yeah, by the way, all of that data collection that they're doing, And it's costing you, the taxpayer, $20 million per year. So you're paying to have your own human rights violated. How awesome is that? So here's a nifty little graph about all of your data being ripped off. Microsoft, Google, Yahoo, Facebook, all of them, right? Email, chat, videos, photos, special requests. What do you mean special requests? So that was my fun little romp through Facebook and its very cozy, very close-knit relationship with the federal government, the NSA, and many foreign governments. You can go read the article for yourself. It just goes on and on about Turkey wants this and Saudi Arabia wants this. It's a really great read, guys, trust me. But what do y'all think about this? Am I completely nuts? Am I a conspiracy theorist? Let me know what you guys think about this multi-billion-dollar authoritarian, spying, sneaky, data mining corporation known as the little baby private company Facebook. What are your thoughts? Do you even use Facebook? I know a lot of people that have been deleting their Facebook and just like walking away from social media entirely. For some reason, people just don't care, or they want it to be that way, or it makes them feel safer. I can't really explain it, but we're in a situation now where people are not only giving up their rights, giving up their freedoms willingly on a silver platter to these companies. Take them. I don't need them. You can have them. Not only that, but they're being charged billions of dollars to do so. Snoop Dogg, we need you to save us all from this dystopian nightmare. If you're able to have an open mind about the types of ideas that you're willing to engage with, just accept responsibility for yourself as an individual, that's how you get the money.